When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night.
Hey there, believers. We've got a pretty exciting episode for you today. I say pretty exciting episode because I don't even know what I'm getting into. It might be the most exciting episode we've ever done. I have no clue. I put out there that I was looking for interviews, for some new content for episodes. And I got a message on Instagram from Florida Paranormal Researcher. He said, count me in. So here we are. At this point, no clue. I don't even know his real name. So that's fine with me. This is the way I like to do it. It makes it fun, makes it exciting. Reactions are genuine, nothing staged. And I just look forward to, hearing about him and his group. I believe his group is called Party Paranormal. Sounds cool to me. So we'll bring him on the show, get him talking, try to see what, their methods of doing paranormal research are, and what their theory is for what we're dealing with. So with no further delay, let me go ahead and bring them on. It's all you. You can go ahead and just introduce yourself. I'll edit out all this in between stuff.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Hey, what's going on? My name is Mike Del Coro. I go by Florida Paranormal Researcher on my social media and YouTube accounts with a group called War Party Paranormal here in Florida. We consist of approximately 30 members. I would say we're maybe one of the biggest teams in Florida, if not the U.S. We hold a lot of public, live, interactive ghost hunt events at different historical societies throughout Florida. We do Yesteryear Village, which the infamous Riddle House is at. Believe it or not, that's not the most haunted structure at that location. I would say it's medium compared to some of the other places on the premises there. Wow. We do History Fort Lauderdale, the New River Inn. That's another cool spot because there's multiple locations that we hit, and we kind of do it like a free for all, if you would, for the guests. We'll put some investigators in each different building, and the guests just get to walk from building to building and do their own thing and see what we're up to in each building. We're doing the Hotel Redlands, bunch of different historical areas in Florida, and our main goal is to bring people in and let them see what we do, and basically show them that what we do is legit. We're professional about it, and the main goal also is to raise money for these historical societies by bringing guests. We're a nonprofit. None of the money goes to the team. Everything goes to historical societies. We do it just to do it. And the other main reason is we do specialize in doing residential cases, and this is a good way for people to get familiar with us, get comfortable with us, and get our name out there.
I think that's wonderful. I think it's wonderful that you're helping out, doing charity work, and that says a lot about you guys as a team. That you're obviously not in it for the money. You're in it to help out and raise awareness. I think that's great, man. I do.
Absolutely, and that's the our founders, Zap and Scotty, we've learned so much from. They've been in the industry and in the paranormal community and been on other teams, and each of them I think have been in the field approximately 30-40 years.
Wow.
So yeah, we got definitely some knowledge on the team. So if it's something that we have also many different types of people. We have people that are sensitive. We have psychic mediums. We have investigators like myself that are handy with electronics and equipment. And it all ties together really well. It's amazing how awesome we work together as a team too, especially with this many people.
Yeah,
there's no egos and this and that. Like everybody just flows and works really nice. It's like I call it our family more than I do a team.
Yeah, that's so rare. Oh my gosh, man! I couldn't put 30 people together of anybody I know, 30 people together without there being conflict. So
yeah, no, I mean, obviously there has sometimes been stuff that comes up, and people have come and left, but the majority group of people is just we work so well together. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So let me ask you personally, what got you started? Like, what got you into the paranormal? Is it something that you grew up with, or is it just an interest?
I would say like probably a good percentage of the paranormal community have had run-ins with paranormal things as a youngster, or throughout their life, and that's what happened with me. Obviously, that's what I'm talking about, because it kind of piques your interest. It gets you wanting to figure out what's going on. What was it? I want to find a reason. I want to know why this is in mainstream science and why this stuff hasn't come out, and what's going on, and looking into it. And I've always been really interested in it. When I was pretty young, I had some stuff going on where I saw some shadow figures and things. One particular night when I was, I don't know, about 10-ish, years old. I was awoken and I had 3 shadow figures standing at the foot of my bed. And I was like in paralysis, like I couldn't move. And I had like a little Lego train set deal, lit up, and it freaking turned on, man. When I saw those people, I couldn't move. I looked over, the train turned on. And I was scared essless,
Yeah.
And ever since that, I think, and at the time I thought it was, extraterrestrial,
Right.
Or something of that nature. But now that I'm doing what I do, I feel that it might not have been that. It might have been something else. It might have been spirits or family members or something. I couldn't wrap my head around it at the time.
Man, that would be so scary, especially as a kid.
Yeah, man, that was an experience. And it's funny is one of my really good friends that's on the team, Joe Hunts Ghosts. He is always been sensitive and always had stuff going on.
Right.
But it's kind of neat being, a good friend of his and talking to him on a daily basis. Now that he is learning that he is sensitive and trying to deal with it, and learn how to shut down and how to open himself up when we're doing investigations, but to close it down. And he was struggling with it a little bit at first, but now I think he's kind of honing it in and can shut it down, because he was going home after investigations and hearing stuff and seeing stuff, and just because I think he was opening himself up and didn't know how to close it down.
Yeah.
And that's wild to witness. I mean, that's wild to see. And I'm not sensitive at all. Like,
right.
Sometimes if we're doing something and it could be potentially something dark or very strong, I might get a little nauseous. But that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild.
But let me ask you real quick. tell me you have a black cat.
I have a cat that's
Okay.
like a tabby cat.
Okay, I saw a cat in the background, man. I saw his eyes glowing, and I was like, please, Jesus, let that be a cat.
Well, it's kind of weird because I don't know how you would see her. The camera's kind of facing.
Yeah, it was
upwards.
barely over your left shoulder. Yeah.
I'm in my garage.
Okay.
So
it was right in front of that
maybe-
door. Yeah, it was on
Yeah.
top of that stuff right there.
We'll have to watch it back and see it because that'd be pretty wild. I hope there's nothing here.
Well, that leads me to this question. And I ask a lot of people this, just personally, off camera, on camera, whatever. What do you do to protect yourself when you go out to these investigations? I ask this because I've talked to a lot of people that dabble in the paranormal or are full-fledged into it. And it seems like when we get into, darker stories, I wound up getting stuff going on in my house. I've had a lot of electronic issues. I had EVPs. My family's seen the shadows in the, in the corners and stuff like that. And so, we stay prayed up. I have, olive wood crosses all through the house. I've done a lot of stuff to help, with saging and stuff like that. But
yeah, no, for sure. And I've been on a couple different podcasts and doing stuff with people, and it's very easy for them, from what we've seen, to manipulate electronics, and that's why we use what we use. And I've actually I thought this was kind of crazy, right? Because I'm going to answer your question, but I think this will lead into it, is that Eric, one of our team members, does a lot of live events on Instagram, and he'll bring in psychic mediums virtually live. And at first I was like, what? They're not here. How can I? But through the phone, through lives and stuff, they can feel and see what's going on at that location. And that to me is wild. So yeah, that's pretty nuts. And like I said, they can travel through, from what I've told and what I've seen and what I've heard, is that they can travel through phones, they can travel through cameras and video and electronics. But to answer your question, I don't do anything like ritualistic per se. I have a pendant that I wear. This is I'm not super religious, but this is a pendant that they use for exorcisms and things like that, to keep the evil away. I had this a long time. It's tiki mask. It's the ward away evil spirits, just things like that. But sometimes every time we're done with an investigation, I will say, and I don't know if you've seen any of my content, but I almost talk to them and show them that we're not scared. I feel like they kind of, any entities or things like that, they feed off of fear or your feelings. Like I don't really tend to ever really get startled or freaked out very easily. And I tend to treat them almost like a dog or like a small child or something like that, where you have to be very stern. And I feel like that helps a lot. So, not rude, but stern, stand your ground.
Yeah.
So like at the end of an investigation, I'll always say, like, listen, all right, you do not have permission to follow me or any of our guests outside this residence. This is where you belong, and this is where you're going to stay. Yeah. And you do not have permission. And, we'll come back and visit you again. We'll be back. Thank you. I'll be respectful, things like that. If we do get into anything that seems to be pretty dark, we do have people on the team that have experience dealing with that. So it doesn't really bother me too much, because I know if anything really does happen or we get into that situation, we can contact somebody that can do proper cleansings and things of that nature. And I will take precautions. Like at the end of some sessions, we'll do a sage cleansing and things of that nature. But no, nothing too much, really. Not nothing. Like I know some groups will do prayers and things like that before. I'm just not super religious, but I am obviously somewhat religious and spiritual. So I do feel that proper precautions should be taken, and especially when you're dealing with children entities, it seems like they're very clingy, and that's something that we watch out for. during investigations, if we feel like there's children there, we'll obviously do the same thing. Just know you do not have permission to follow us. You will stay here. This is where you belong, and this is, and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of children, entities that are children, I'm always concerned that it's something trying to lower your guard, that it's not necessarily a child. I don't know how you feel or how your group feels about evil entities. Is this, because I haven't asked you yet, I don't know how you feel like what this is that we're dealing with, but when it comes to a kid, they're very disarming a lot, and I'm afraid that something's going to try to contact you, will try to appear as something innocent or something to get closer to you.
So from our experience, we can tell that there's a lot of the opposite of that too. And to answer your other question, like what do I feel like we're dealing with? I think it's a mixture of things. I think that it's hard to distinguish exactly, but I do feel that 100% that we are speaking with afterlife. We've had so many things that there's no way there could be coincidences. I mean, full on EVPs with names, and ITC stuff, spirit box, doing Ess methods, things of that nature. We actually, have got names first and last over a period of time, and then given them to historians, and they've confirmed that person did reside at that residence. But to answer your question, yes. I also, like I said, a mixture of things. There is evil, because if without darkness, there would be no light, So I do feel that there's evil presence. There's dark stuff out there. I don't even like saying the word demons. I just try not to even talk about it, because I think that's very, very, very rare, and like I was saying, that I feel there's a lot of opposite in that too, that if a spirit's like, you go to their residence and they're pissed off and they just don't want to be bothered and they don't want you messing with them, they'll act as if they are something darker or bigger and badder than they really are, to frighten you, to get you to leave so they can just not have to deal with it. We find that a lot. Like one investigation we were doing, and it's on my YouTube, we were doing in actually, you know what, I don't think this one is. We're holding on to that right now for some other stuff that's coming down the pipe. But Richmond Naval Air Station was a base, a naval base in Miami, Homestead actually, and that's where they housed all the blimps that would go out and take care of the U-boats during the 40s. And that was destroyed in 1945 from a hurricane that started the fire, and there was some deaths there. The fire chief died, and now it's the Gold Coast Railroad Museum. So now it's packed full of abandoned train cars and historical ones like that. So there is so much going on there. It is super active. And one of the parts of the building that's a structure that was original structure is like an old mechanics room. And we spent a bunch of time in there doing the Ess methods and EVPs and things. And we started doing Ess methods, and right off the rip, you're hearing devil, demon, get out, get the hell out of here, I own you. Like, I was like, what in the world? I was like, you know what? And I'm the one talking, and Joe has the headphones on. And I'm like, listen, you're not going to scare us. This is BS. You know what? You're not that tough of a guy if you're doing that. And then after I did that a little bit, you almost started seeing the whole thing just turn around and start getting responses to some of our questions. And, his little tricks didn't work. He didn't scare us out of there. I said, you're not going to scare us with that. Come on now. Let's man to man, let's talk.
Wow. That's brave, man.
And it was pretty wild how you seen the whole conversation shift, and it was nuts. But yeah, I do agree. Sometimes you have to be weary and not fall directly into what you're getting the responses, because there is times where things can mimic, and there's a lot of stuff going on, you know, that you got to kind of look at it from the overall picture and kind of see what's going on, you know?
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
that's why it's really neat that we do investigate a lot of the same places over and over and over. There's an old Davie schoolhouse. It's a museum from one of the first schoolhouses that was in Florida, in South Florida, in Davie. And there's a house there, the Veely House. It's on the same property. It's a historic home built in 1912. I got to remember all this stuff too. So, so we get a lot of activity in the attic, a lot, and we've been doing a lot of Ess Method. Are you familiar with those?
I've seen the Ess Method done on that YouTube series Hellier. You know, I watched them do that, but there'll probably be a lot of people listening to this that are not familiar with it. So if you want to talk about what that method is and how it's used, that'd be great.
Yeah, we started doing it like 7-8 months ago. It was one of our first sessions, and we've been killing it. It's been super productive, and we do it a lot now. We're starting to do it at some of our live events. So basically, what it is one of our team members will wear noise isolation headphones, not canceling, but isolation, like Vic Forth drummers headphones or something of that nature.
Right.
And then we'll take a spirit box, normally in SB7 spirit box, which is, I'm explaining it for the viewers. I'm pretty sure you might know what that is, but it's an AM/FM radio with the tuner removed. Mm-hmm. So it'll scan through the frequencies, and you could change the milliseconds, but it'll scan through the frequencies pretty quick. And you can hear or pick up conversations or words from the afterlife through these boxes that they sell or we make or whatnot. And you know, you do maybe catch a little bit of like a DJ or something if you're in a very populated area, like if it's rolling through there, but you'll hear like that, you know, just like little short spurts. But to get a full word or a sentence or a phrase, it's impossible to be from a radio station, because you're flipping at 150 milliseconds. Wow. So what we do is we take that and we'll plug it directly into the headphones, and then whoever has the headphones on that's listening to the spirit box will also be blindfolded. So now they cannot read my lips. They cannot hear my voice. All they're doing is concentrating and listen to what's coming through that spirit box and repeating it out of their mouth. And a lot of times Joe will do it, and he's sensitive, and he's seen things. He's had stuff touch him while we're doing this. So it's wild. So now I'm asking questions. The person that has headphones on, this is a spirit box. Like I said, we took away their senses. They can't see. The only thing they hear is that white noise and any words or voices or phrases that are coming through that, and they're repeating it. So it's mind blowing when I will have a full conversation, you know, and it's making sense and it's lining up. And a couple times we've had it where it almost seems like it's two different spirits talking to each other, and we'll pick up conversations that way.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's wild. And like, we were in the Veely House attic the other night, and we know that we're communicating with a person named Paul Hammer. We got the name Paul multiple times on EVP through different people, different teammates going there and doing EVP sessions and getting the name Paul, and not knowing that other members got Paul, and then collaborating afterwards.
Nice.
And then we had Hammer keep coming up, like on the obelisk, on EVPs. We're like, Hammer. We're looking around for Hammer. Like, what's a Hammer? What's that doing? So we ended up realizing that, and we talked to one of the local historians that works there during the day that's really in tune with the history of this place. Said, yeah, no, there was a guy named Paul Hammer that passed at this house.
Wow.
And we're like, what? We're just like blown away, right? Then we had our friend Carly, the Village Tarot Card or Tarot Witch on Instagram. Mm-hmm. She's awesome, right? we had her on a live there, and we're in the attic. So she pulls death card, like, all right, we know somebody died here. And then she pulls the poison card twice. So we're like, poison? We ended up going back and asking Kim, the historian. She said, yeah, no, I swear to goodness, Paul actually died from getting bit by a rattlesnake, and he got bit twice.
Oh.
And we were just like, floored.
Yeah.
So the last Ess Method session that we did in that attic, I'm like, we're trying to talk to Paul, you know, and I just posted that. It's wild, man. And I'm like, Paul, come on over here and sit down and talk to me. Right away, first response, hello. And I'm like, what? So I just start establishing the communication, just like when we do with our EVPs, you know. We'll play our EVPs back right then and there, listen to it, and then try to establish communication related to the questions that we're asking and the answers that we're getting.
Yeah.
And just try to keep a conversation flowing.
I love that. Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was always intrigued by the paranormal, and I've done some investigations, like solo or like with a buddy, like years, you know, just kind of here and there, spotty.
Right.
But ever since I joined the War Party team, you know, I was definitely a little skeptical. But now, just the amount of evidence that we can capture and log, and I am going to call it evidence.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
some
absolutely.
of them, you know, sometimes I won't say that word per se, but there is no way there's this many, you know, things that are lining up that it's flooring, you know.
Yeah, that goes way beyond coincidence, if you ask me.
100%, 100%.
Man.
And, you know, like, sometimes you can, you know, you might be able to write off a REM pod hit, this, that, and the other thing, you know, because they are affected by shortwave radio, and things like that will break the field and trigger them. It's uncommon, but it can happen. But you start lining that up with intelligent responses. Like, there's a number of times where a REM pod or a millimeter or something will be going off, and I'll look at it and say, listen, knock it off, stop that, don't touch it, please. And it'll just, and then it's wild.
Is there some reason why they're bound to listen? Like,
you know, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's just like, I don't know. But I feel that it does work. If you are stern and straightforward and show that you don't show fear, most of the time I will get a response. Not always, but yeah. And like a lot of times, sometimes my technique that I like to use is being just very, very forward, straight, and saying, hey, listen, come on over here and talk to me. Let's sit down. Let's talk. So I know, you know, and I'm just very stern and straight. It doesn't always work all the time. You know, sometimes I'll be doing that and I'm not getting much response. And then Joe will come in and being sensitive, you know, and feeling what's going on. And he might take a little bit of a different approach and start saying, hey, my name is Joe. I'm just very calm and inviting and just be like, listen, there's nothing to be afraid of here. We're not here to hurt you. If you want to come on over and chat with us, that'd be awesome. Can you come over and talk into this recorder? And then he'll start getting EVPs. So, and then sometimes it's the other way around, you know? Right. So it's just cool. You know, like they all seem to have a different, you know, their own personality, I would say, you know? And I look at it that way too. Like when we were talking about other, you know, earlier about dark stuff or evil or bad. Listen, if you were an a-hole in life, you're probably going to be an a-hole in your afterlife.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I think a lot of times it's that more than anything, you know, I would say evil.
Yeah.
Most time it's just a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
I mean, because like, during our residentials and stuff too. Now that's a whole nother thing, man. So if we do get a residential, right, the first thing we'll do is, I would say we're a lot different than a lot of other teams, especially being in Florida. You got all kinds of kinds, so we do have to weed them out, and we'll establish a case manager to that case. They will interview the person. They will do virtual visits with the person. And we will record medications, what they're taking, who they talk to, trauma, injuries. They have a history of mental illness. I mean, we will go deep. And then once we do an investigation, a lot of times what we'll do is the tech guys, we're going to be outside, and we'll let one of our psychic mediums or sensitives do a walk through the premises alone. They aren't aware of any of the history, anything that person has told us or reported. We keep that all to ourselves, and they won't be involved in, like, we'll have like group chats. They won't be involved in any of the group chats or anything like that when we're discussing our plan. They know nothing. They're going in completely blind. They will walk the premises. They'll come back out. They'll meet with us and tell us what they felt, where, and what, or if anything. And then we'll go in and do our investigation in those locations. And then afterwards, we'll see if what coincides. Sometimes it'll obviously take more than one visit.
Right.
And if we do find that there is something there that needs to be removed or sent away, then we'll have people come in on our team that will do a complete cleansing and work with them. If we find it's not something, we'll be brutally honest with them and say, listen, I think that maybe you've been dealing with a lot of stress. You're on this medication. We do have a lot of EMF coming off of the power lines going over the house, that could affect your mental state. And maybe you should speak with somebody in the mental health field and see if that will help or things of that nature. We won't mislead anybody, and we'll be transparent.
Yeah. I love that you do that for them, because sometimes people just need that little nudge if there is something going on, if it is just paranoia or stress and anxiety, that's, they've created this, it has to be something paranormal because there can't be anything wrong kind of feeling, that it takes somebody from outside perspective, to kind of help somebody along sometimes. I think that's great that you're doing that. And it's also it's pretty cool that my next question was, walk me through a typical residential haunting, what you do, and you just did that. So that was great.
Awesome. It's and like you said, for a family to welcome a paranormal team into their home is usually a last resort.
Right.
If it's legit, if they are having issues, we're usually the last people they want to call. So we also make sure that we're super discreet. We are private, and we don't discuss any details to anybody about that kind of stuff. Obviously want to keep it very professional and do the right thing. And if it even gets beyond that and it's something that we don't even feel that we can control and it is dark, then we will bring in a priest or a church or something of that nature. We will contact them and bring them in.
Have you had something like that happen before?
Our team, yes. Me personally, no.
Okay. Yeah. Because I imagine that would be pretty rare, but that would also be intense. That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah. We recently had another team from another state contact us and they want us to go up there and help them and bring a bishop and do some stuff like that. And I personally couldn't make it due to work related things.
Right.
But yeah, so Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. And I'm not going to ask you any hardball questions. It's just opinion.
Shoot.
How are these people? How are they stuck here, or is everybody here? Like what do you think you're talking to? It's obviously something intelligent. It's a person. They got names. Why are they here and not somewhere else in the afterlife?
So obviously you have the normal responses that you can research online and stuff that people have figured out. But from my personal experience, what I have found is there's many different things. And we asked that question.
Good.
Direct a lot. Like, why are you still here?
Yes.
And you can go into all kinds of theories, but from the actual field investigations that I've done, I feel that one, they're very, very, very passionate about the location. If that was their home, that was their thing. That was something they built. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into, and they're just not ready to let go. Yeah. Two, they can't come to terms with that they're gone. They want to just continue living the life that they had and just keep moving and pretend like it didn't happen. They're still there. Like they're that passionate, that strong about it, that they're still here. I do feel that there's a difference between spirits and ghosts. I feel that spirits can leave, come back, can travel, can go back to the afterlife, come back into our realm. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like a ghost is somebody that is trapped, stuck, or unwilling to leave.
Nice.
Yeah. So I also feel like, because that was one of my main things. Like, a lot of people investigate cemeteries, right? Like, what the hell are they doing at the cemetery? They're already dead when they went there. Right. So I was like, I've always, they are active, right? Yeah. So the other thing that I found that is possible, and these are all theories, obviously, there's no way I could 100% say, here it is, I got a ghost, it's right here, look at it. These are all theories and things that we've come across. And I feel like somebody is very, very attached to their body. Just like you could be attached to physical things, you could be attached to yourself. Yeah. And you're like, I'm not letting go, man. And you just go with your body to wherever it lays, and that's where you're going to sit and stay. Yeah. Or I've also got responses at cemeteries that they're waiting for somebody. They're waiting for family.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of different, there's no one answer, and yeah, it's wild. Like and we'll have, doing sessions and things. And like I was telling you, like have two different spirits communicating with each other. Like that's wild to me. Like at the naval base, that was like when women were first getting into the Navy and things. And we were getting like, is there, woman here and responses from a woman. And then we were getting responses from possible service member, like a military service. And then she was like, you would hear like, help me. And then you hear like, no, don't. Like, like two different people. Like somebody saying, help me. And then you hear like, and then you get another response like, no, don't do it. Yeah. And then be like, hey, it's crazy. Same thing with one of the other spots we investigate. We get a woman. You'll hear like a woman's voice scream EVP, and then you'll hear like and then you'll get like a man yelling, and it's like almost like there was a fight. Wow. And I don't know if that. There's the other thing is residual energy. Right. That's where it's not actually an intelligent thing, but it's something that's engraved in space time because of how traumatic or whatever, and it left an imprint. Mm-hmm. Obviously when you hear stories of I see like a woman in white walk down this hallway at this certain time.
Right.
That could be a residual haunting, you know, where it's not actually a spirit of anything. It's just a residual energy repeating itself.
Yeah, kind of like Gettysburg ghosts, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly like that. And that's another spot I've always wanted to check out, man.
Yeah, me too.
I've seen some wild footage.
Yeah. I saw one. It was like full uniformed soldier, and it was like walked through one of those static displays of the cannons, and I was like, man,
I think that might have been the same one that I seen, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
That's the other thing that kind of is a little disappointing to me, though, too, is that this time and age that we live in, it is so easy to get everything at your fingertips with these smartphones and devices, right? Like you could do anything from your phone that you used to be able to do on a computer and with ease. And you do have to look out for fake and fraudulent things out there for people to get clicks, you know, and that's the other thing is it, I almost feel like it's a bad thing, but it's always going to be, it was always there and it's always going to be there. Just now it's easier to fake things and stuff like that. And we just have to make sure that we point that out or stay away from it or don't let ourselves get skewed either way and just make sure that we are being honest and that's all we can do, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Okay, let me ask you, because I know I got a lot of people that's going to be listening to this and they're going to want to hear, you know, a story. It doesn't have to be anything scary, but do you have any memorable experiences, anything that like really just stands out to you that you know that you want to share?
Absolutely. I guess I would say I'm going to start off by just doing a short one, right? Like disembodied voices always just blow my mind. I would say that's the wildest thing that you could possibly get to before you actually physically see something, an apparition or something like that. So disembodied voices just blow my mind. And there was one in particular that Joe and I experienced, and you know, and for listeners that possibly don't know what that is, the difference between a disembodied voice, EVP, things of that nature. A disembodied voice is like an actual voice that you can hear with your ears, that is not from a person that's there.
Right.
And this one particular time, Joe and I were investigating the Southern Bell House. It's a museum, and we were in there at night. And it was a private investigation, I guess, for your village where the Riddle House is. And we all split up. And that's another thing that we get paid, kind of how we get paid, right? These places will let us do private investigations that they're, you know, for helping them raise money. Yeah. So it'll just be a few of our team members go in and just get to test new equipment, try new techniques and do things. And so that's kind of our payment. Right. So we're there by ourselves. We split up. It was just me and Joe in this building. We're completely dark. No lights, just our night vision cams, and we set up cams around the perimeter of the inside of the building watching us. We're doing some EVPs, and I start walking from one building, from one main room where they have all the switchboards and everything, because it's set up like an old Bell South operation, you know, where operators sit. Yeah. And I am walking towards the other room. I'm just looking at the little screen on my camera, trying not to fall down because I can't see, you know. And I'm walking, and because, you know, that's the other thing is, you know, we want to go dark because, you know, incandescent bulbs and things like that put a lot of EMF. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that there's limited power, you know. So we're walking, and as soon as my foot crosses the threshold to go into the other room, you hear clear as day, where are you going? Wow. And I go, and Joe's 10 feet behind me, just standing there. And I go, what'd you say? He goes, no, that wasn't me. I heard it too. And I was like, and we both just got goosebumps and looked at each other and we're like, no way. We got to watch this footage. Sure enough, it was on one of Joe's cams. He went through it and found it. And the whole thing's there. Like as soon as I cross the threshold, you hear it. Where are you going? I look at Joe. None of our mouths are moving. I look at Joe, and we both look freaked out, and you could hear it clear as day. It was wild.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that would be the creepy stuff right there, man. That's you can never get used to that.
No, and disembodied voices are very rare, but they're by far the most hair raising.
Yeah,
to say the least. Yeah, so that was very, very cool. And then I'll try to keep this one somewhat short.
Oh, you're good.
But the thing that completely changed my whole way of thinking was the first time Joe and I investigated together. We actually went with his wife and my girlfriend, that's how I met Joe. They're best friends. And so we went on a whole group vacation to St. Augustine, and me and Joe were like, "It's on. We're gonna go check out some spots." So we actually went to the St. Augustine Old Jail in St. Augustine, and when we were there, it was like a paid event thing. So we kind of come rolling up, and we had our backpacks and our cases, and they're like, "What in the world?" And so they're like, "These guys don't know what's up," So we start catching EVPs and some stuff right off the rip. And the people hosting the event were like, "Listen," they come up to us and they're like, "You guys stay, do your thing." And we're like, "All right, cool." So after all the guests left, they just gave us the jail, while they were cleaning up and doing a thing. We stayed there for a couple hours, just doing our thing, just me and Joe in the jail. So we're up in the warden's bedroom, and this is a creepy place, man. If you don't know any of the history about the jail,
I don't.
Check it out, man. Do a little research. It is wild. I could go on for quite some time. There's so much history there, but I'm going to keep it short. Like I said, the warden was a big, scary dude, and he overpacked the jail. He would just load people into these, and it's an open air prison in Florida, and people were just dying off by heat exhaustion, just terrible conditions, and packing them into these cells, as many as he could fit. They were designed for 2 people. He put 4 or 5. And the reason he was doing it is he was subcontracting out the labor to make money. I mean, sick, but kind of genius. But so one of the historians told me that that day, and I was like, that's how I'm going to get a response. I'm going to go up there and pretend like this guy is a genius and he was super smart, and I'm going to play into it and tell him, see if I can get a response that way. Because how many people pass through this place on a daily basis in St. Augustine? I mean, I need to do something different. I need to do something different to trigger a response. So I get up there and I'm like, "Hey, listen, warden, if you're here, I think a lot of people didn't like you. I think what you did was smart, man. I think that's good thinking." And right off the rip, I get, "Talk to me," clear as day. "Talk to me." And then we started getting EVPs. We start getting somebody else. We're starting talking to somebody else. It's one of the inmates. And we're like, who are you? What's your name? And he wouldn't say his name, but we said, we got an EVP. It said, "Check the board." Check the board. So one of the ladies that works there was just coming in, checking on us. And I said, "Hey, if I said to you, check the board, what would that mean?" And she goes, "Oh, well, in the guard tower over there, there's a board of all 9 inmates that were hanged to death." And I said, "Get out of here." So we go into the guard tower, and we start reading off the names one by one, boom, boom, down the line. And as we're doing that, we say, "Listen, give us a sign or trigger something. Let us know when we get to your name." And I'm paraphrasing here, but I think it was the 6th or 7th one down. Joe says, "Tom White, the millimeter in the other room where the warden's room, nobody else is here at this time. It's just us. Starts going bananas. I mean, the temperature, the REM part of it, any sensor on that thing just goes bananas. So we're like, holy shit, you know, and then we started talking. Is this Tom White? And then we start getting more responses, and it was just the whole way that whole investigation went. It was like playing Clue, you know.
Yeah.
It was like one thing led us to another place, it led us around the jail until we could we were figuring out things as we went that all tied into the history of the place, and that by far just changed my thinking on a lot of things.
Yeah, no doubt. That takes away the scary element of it. You know, that you're talking to a person. You're talking to somebody that has been there, that can still reach out to you, and you put in the footwork, man. I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like another thing, you know, like a lot of times when we do these public investigations, like we'll make it like, you know, we might put some ominous tunes and stuff on our videos to keep people interested. And it is kind of frightening if you think about it. You're talking with the dead, but it's not scary. It's not jump scary. You know, I mean, it's mind blowing,
right?
But it's not. Yeah, but it's not. I would say like scary. You know, like in a lot of the thoughts. You know. That's why we do our events. You know, we're bringing people there. We're having them. We start getting interactive with them. We say, hey, listen, everybody introduce yourself. What's your name? And we'll be doing an EVP. I'll run my DR60. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name is Mike. This is, and I'll point, and they'll say their name. And we'll go to the next person. What's your name? And we'll go around. There'll be like 5 people there. And at the end, I'll say, hey, who do you like the best? And we'll wait. And then we'll get one of their names come back on the EVP. Like we're showing people that this is interactive, it's real, it's not, we're not screwing around. And that's the other thing, like we like to use DR60s. They capture a lot of EVPs. Some are intelligible, you know, you can't always understand with those. But they capture, I would say, more than any other recorder that we've used. There's a lot of other recorders that we also use that provide better class EVPs, but not as many, you know. So when we have a group of people there, we're going to want to use what produces the most, you know.
Oh yeah.
So but what we do to avoid any interaction, like even by mistake, you know, you're holding one in your hand and you move your thumb on the case, and that might create a noise, you know. So what we'll do is we'll set it down on the table, we'll press the record button, and we'll step a foot back, and then we'll ask our questions, and then we'll wait. And we'll come back, try to click just the button with your hand, pick it up, and play it back. So there's no, I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice to do that.
Right.
But when we can, and there's a table or a flat surface that's sturdy, we'll do that. And then, I mean, we're ripping off quality EVPs right there in front of people.
Awesome, man. That is great. So if somebody wanted to get with you guys, this would be a good time to go ahead and to plug contact information, your show on YouTube. You got a good YouTube channel. Your Instagram, whatever you want to plug, man. Let's go ahead and do that.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want to check out my Instagram, FLA _ paranormal _ researcher. But if you start to search FLA _ paranormal, I'll pop up. So Florida Paranormal Researcher on Instagram. Same thing on YouTube, Florida Paranormal Researcher. And then for group events, if you want to come out and meet us and come over and check it out and see what we do, we post a lot of our events on our personal Instagrams, but also War Party Paranormal on Instagram. And then we also host ghostly experiences where we will show people and teach them about the equipment and then take them on an investigation. That's also stuff that you can check them out on Instagram. It's a few of our team members. Ghostly experiences, and I'm also on TikTok, same Florida Paranormal Researcher. So yeah, if you guys want to check it out, or if anybody has any questions, I'm happy. If you DM me, I'm happy to answer any questions. And we're always looking for other teams and other people to collaborate with. Come on out, you know. And there's a lot of people that tell me like, oh, what you do is BS. I don't believe it, you know, nonsense. Nobody believes in ghosts, but they're all scared of it, right? the first thing we always say is, come on out, man. Anytime you want to come, we'll bring. Then you tell us.
There you go. There you go, Mike. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate having you on here. Is there anything else you want to say or shout out before we hop off for the night? Because I know it's getting a little bit late.
Yeah, man. No, I think what you're doing is awesome. Keep up the good work, and I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for bailing me out. I was in a rut, and you pulled through for me, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Anytime, and I'm sure any of our team members too will be happy to help anytime.
Awesome. Well, I'll holler at you on Instagram in a little bit.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Take it down easy.
All right, later.